Hello and welcome to another Kattis programming video. Today I'm gonna try switching it up a bit, and I'm gonna try making this video for someone who has never programmed before or barely done any programming at all. So this is symmetric order, and it goes as following. In your job at Albatross Circus Management, you have just finished writing a program whose output is a list of names in non-descending order by length. However, your boss does not like the way the output looks and instead wants the output to appear more symmetric, with the shorter strings at the top and bottom and the longer strings in the middle. Its rule is that each pair of names belongs on opposite ends of the list, and the first name in the pair is always in the top part of the list. In the first example below, Bo and Pat are the first pair, Jean and Kevin the second pair, etc. So we have set 1 contains 7 names, and then 7 names. Set 2 contains 6 names, and then the names. Set 3 contains 5 names, then the names, and then we end with a 0. And then the output is supposed to be the set we're in, and then the names in this weird order that our boss wanted us to put them in. Alright, so let's discuss how we plan to solve this problem. So, my plan is that first we'll read in the 7. And from the 7, we know that we will have 7 names that we're going to read in for this set. But we start off by taking the 7 and creating a list which has space for 7 items. And then with that list, we'll take each of the items, or each of the names, and put them in alternating slots. So we begin with the first name in the first slot, and then the second name will go into the last slot. And then we take the third name, we'll go into the second slot, and the fourth name into the second to last slot, and so on. And then our list will be ordered in the strange way our boss wanted us to. So, to be able to put the names in these slots in the list, we will have to have some kind of variable that points to where the beginning of the list is and where the end of the list is. So let's try making this in code. So to store the 7 here, that explains how many names we will read in, we need a variable. And to make a variable in Python, you can just type in almost any name, and then we could do like this. So number equals 7. But since this program will need some different input, we'll do number is input. And we can also find out how this works by typing print and then our number. So let's just try this program out. And we'll go hello, and then it will print out hello. And then if we try it with a number, we write 7 and it prints 7. So this is perfect. We now have some way to store our number. But as we could see, this program was able to store hello, and we only want numbers. So what we'll do is we'll do int input. And what we're doing now is casting our input into a integer. And what the integer is we're telling the computer that it will be a number. I think that's the best way to explain that one. A whole number, so not floating point numbers. Alright, and we'll try this again, and we'll do 7 again, and it looks the same, but now it's not the string 7, but the number 7, and this is important, and we'll find out why soon. So we have our number, and now we will want to iterate over this number to be able to read in all of these lines of text. And what we'll do then is we'll write a for loop. And then we'll write for, and then we need a new variable for I in range n. So what we're doing now is we're saying for I, and I is just a variable that we use to be able to know what iteration we're on. And then we're saying in range n. and range is just counting up from 0 to the number we have, exclusive our number. So if our number is 7, range n will count from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then stop there. So we have 7 iterations. Alright, so now we have our for loop, and then we want to read the names. So we'll do name is input. Perfect. Let's see now, and we didn't have n, we had number. Sorry about that. There we go. So let's try this out. We can now do print, and then we'll print the name. And then we can try running this program, and we can write 7, and then some different names. Let's do Bo, Pat, Jean, Kevin, Claude, sorry I probably butchered that, William, and Mary Beth. And then our program was finished. Perfect, so it read out in all the 7 names. Now we need something to put them in as well, to store them for a while. Every iteration for each of the 7 names. We just want to create the list once. So here we'll do a name list, and we'll make that one into an array containing none for now, and we want number of nones. And we'll put a breakpoint here and debug the program, which will show us how this looks. So if we run the program and type in 7, then we will reach the breakpoint, and if we have a look on name list, it contains 7 spots of none right now. And the only reason why we initialize this list is so that we can view it right now, because this is not actually required to do. But it is nice just for some added clarity. So what we could do in our loop now is to do name list and put the index of our loop equals to name. So let's try that one out, and we'll put some line here that we can put a breakpoint on, and we'll try it out. So if we try this now, we'll see that the name list will contain our names. For each iteration, we're adding in one more name into the list. This is great. Just what we wanted. Only thing is, we don't want them in this particular order. This is the order that we already had the names in from the beginning. But now we want to put them in the new order, which was to begin and end with the smallest names. So, what we can do is to store the beginning and the end of our list. So we'll do a start equals to 0, and we do end is equals to number minus 1. You'll see really soon why we're doing this, and also the reason why we're doing minus 1 from the number is because we begin at 0 and end on 7, and we only want 7 iterations in total, so we have to subtract by 1. So what we can do now is we can add to the name list depending on what iteration we're on. So a way to do that is to check if I mod 2, not 1, if I mod 2 is equal to 0. So this is one way to find out if you're on even or odd iterations. So the first iteration will be 0, and 0 mod 2 is 0, and then the second one, 0 mod 2, or 1 mod 2 is 1, and then 2 mod 2 is 0 again. So this is one way to find out if we're on or to get every other iteration. So if imod2 is equal to 0, which is the first case, then we want to put name list at index start to name. And if we're not on a even case, we want to put name list at index end to name. And one thing we have to do now is we have to increment our counters. So we have to do start plus equals to 1. And we also have to do end plus equals to 1. And what plus equals means is the same as doing end equals to end plus 1. So we're incrementing end by 1. Good thing I saw that, because we don't actually want to increment end by 1. We want to decrement end by 1. Yep. And I think we can try this out. Let's also print. Yeah, before we run this, let's print the entire list of our names. And we can do that by writing another for loop. So let's do for name in name list print name. I think that works out just fine. So the name here is not dependent on this one. We can rename this for n in name list, so it doesn't look weird. This is a new variable, so it's not the same name as the name here. But we'll do it this way, because this seems... then there won't be any confusion. And let's try this out. So if we run this now, with the 7th name, we will get the new list in what seems like the correct order. This is absolutely perfect. So what we did now was we put the bow in the first slot and Pat in the last slot, and then Jean in the second slot and Kevin in the second to last slot, and so on. Absolutely perfect. The only thing we need to do now is to print what set we're on. And talking about that, we're not actually doing more than one set. So we'll take everything we just made and do a while loop around it. So while true, this will continue forever, and we'll indent our entire code. And we'll do this forever now. But there's two more things we need to do. We want to make a variable which is set, perhaps. Set counter is equal to 0. And then we can check if the number is 0. And then we want to break. And I'll explain why we did this and what it does in just a second. So why we did this is because we want to end when we when we encounter a 0. Then we're done with all our sets. So when we get to a 0, then we break. And what breaking does is that we exit out of this while loop. So this will continue forever. It really does what it says. So we will do this, but if we read a 0, we will break out of this loop, and that will end the program. And then the counter is so that we can, in here, write, first off, for every iteration, we want to increment the counter. So set counter is plus equals to 1. And then before writing the list, we want to type, or we want to print a string of set. No, first we want to do set, I think. And then we want to add the string of set counter. So the reason why we did this is because in the challenge it said you want to print out what set you're on, and then the sorted list. So let's try this out. And we'll take the entire test case now from the website. And let's see if something good happened here. So we start off by pasting this into the console. It printed out set 1 and the sorted set. So we print out the 6 and then the following 6 names. It prints out set 2 and the sorted names. And it did the same for the third set. And then on the 0, the program ended. And I think that is all we need for this task. So let's copy the code and submit it to the website. We wrote this in Python. And no, that's not the code. We want this. That looks a bit better. And let's try it out. So now the website is checking some tests and they were accepted. So we completed that challenge. I hope I was able to explain this well enough so for someone with 0 to little programming experience before. And I hope you will come along to watch some more advanced programming challenges in the future. Bye!